It was a dark and rainy Friday night when Emily decided to take an Uber to get home from work. She was a young professional who often worked late, and the idea of waiting for a bus or walking through the wet city didn't appeal to her. She took out her cell phone, opened the Uber app, and requested a ride. A few minutes later, a black car stopped on the sidewalk in front of the office building. Emily approached the vehicle and saw that the driver was smiling through the window, waving for her to get in. The driver was a middle-aged man with an unshaven beard and black-rimmed glasses. He had an ordinary appearance, nothing that aroused suspicion. Emily felt relieved that she didn't have to wait in the rain and got into the car. "Good evening," greeted the driver with a kind smile. "Good evening," Emily replied as she got into the back seat. She entered her home address into the app and began to relax, looking forward to the smooth ride home. The car moved smoothly through the city streets, and the rain continued to fall, creating a steady, comforting sound on the roof of the car. Emily looked out the window and saw the buildings and city lights whizzing by. As the journey continued, the driver began to strike up a conversation, asking questions about Emily's workday and her life. She responded politely, sharing basic details while keeping her attention on the landscape outside. However, Emily began to notice that the driver was asking increasingly personal and invasive questions. He wanted to know where she lived, if she lived alone, and if she had a boyfriend. She started to feel uncomfortable about the conversation, but she didn't want to be rude. As the car drove away from the busy areas of the city, Emily realized that they were entering darker, more isolated streets. Her uneasiness grew, and she began to question her choice of driver. It was then that the driver asked a question that made her panic. "Have you ever taken an Uber alone at night before?" he said with a sinister smile. Emily's heart quickened. She was in a car with a stranger on a dark, rainy night and began to realize that something was very wrong. She wasn't sure if the driver had bad intentions, but she knew she needed to take steps to ensure her safety. Continuing to remain calm, Emily told the driver that she needed to make an urgent call and asked him to stop the car. She took out her cell phone and pretended to dial a number, while in reality, she activated the location sharing app with her closest friend. The driver seemed a little uneasy, but he stopped the car as requested. Emily opened the door and quickly left, saying that she needed to take care of an urgent problem. She walked away from the car while keeping her gaze fixed on the driver, who was watching her with a tense expression. Once she was far enough away, Emily called the police and explained the situation. She gave a description of the car and driver and asked for immediate help. The driver, realizing that his attempted approach had failed, accelerated the car and disappeared into the darkness of the night. Emily was relieved to have escaped the scary situation, but she also knew that the night was far from over. She hoped police would be able to locate the driver and ensure he no longer posed a danger to others. As Emily waited for the police that rainy night, she was nervous and scared, but also determined to make sure the Uber driver was found and stopped from harming others. She stood on the sidewalk, watching the rain fall and trying to remain calm. The police car soon arrived, and a uniformed officer got out of the car. Emily quickly approached him and explained what had happened during the Uber ride. The officer reassured her and asked her to provide a detailed description of the driver and the car. As Emily spoke to the officer, she saw her phone ring. It was her closest friend, Alex, who had received the location sharing notification. Emily answered the call and explained the situation to Alex, asking him to meet at the police station. The officer instructed Emily to get into the patrol car to help search for the Uber car and the suspected driver. She readily agreed, determined to cooperate with the investigation. As they roamed the city streets in search of the black car, Emily felt a mixture of anxiety and determination. She knew that by helping the police, she was helping to keep others safe who might be targeted by the suspected driver. After searching for some time, they saw the Uber car parked in a dark and empty parking lot. The officer parked his squad car some distance away and instructed Emily to wait while he investigated the situation. Emily watched nervously as the officer approached the Uber car. He checked the license plate and confirmed that it was the same car that Emily had identified. It was then that the driver got out of the car with a surprised and confused expression on his face. He tried to explain his presence there by claiming that he was waiting for a friend who lived nearby. The police officer was not fooled by the driver's story and asked for identification. Meanwhile, Emily continued to watch the scene, eager for the truth to be revealed. Tensions in the parking lot increased when the officer returned with the driver's identification and ran a background check. It was clear that the driver had a criminal history and was involved in illegal activities. The driver was detained and handcuffed, and the officer thanked Emily for her courage and cooperation. She felt relieved to see the driver taken into custody, knowing his actions had prevented a potential tragedy. The officer took her back to the police station, where she was able to provide an official statement about what happened. Alex was already there, waiting for her, and the two friends hugged each other, relieved to be together and safe. While waiting for the investigation to conclude, Emily and Alex shared the story with friends and family, emphasizing the importance of remaining vigilant and reporting any suspicious behavior when using ride-sharing apps. Emily's experience made her more aware of her personal safety. She continued to use ride-sharing apps, but always took extra steps to verify driver information and share her real-time location with friends or family during trips. The rainy, terrifying night had changed Emily's life in many ways, but it had also made her an advocate for safety and mutual care among ride-hailing users, ensuring that her story served as a warning to everyone who relied on these services. For your night trips. After the Uber driver's arrest, Emily and Alex struggled to get back to their normal lives. The feeling of relief at being safe was undeniable, but the trauma of that rainy night still hung over them. However, they knew they needed to move on. Emily continued to work and maintain her daily routine, but paranoia followed her. She avoided late-night Uber rides whenever possible and preferred to stay home or hang out with friends who could drive her back safely. A month after the incident, Emily received a call from the police. They had found additional evidence related to the suspected driver and wanted her to provide more information to help with the investigation. She readily agreed and headed to the police station, where she met with the detective in charge of the case. The detective explained that during a search of the driver's residence, they had found a diary that contained disturbing records. The diary revealed that the Uber driver intentionally targeted young, single women on his nighttime trips. He detailed plans to kidnap, assault, and commit horrific crimes against his female passengers. The notes were disturbing and showed that the driver was an extremely dangerous predator. Emily was shocked to hear about the driver's real intentions. She couldn't believe that, on that rainy night, she had come so close to becoming one of his victims. The detective explained that the driver's arrest had prevented him from continuing his heinous crimes, and he now faced a long prison sentence. Although the driver's arrest was a relief, Emily was also left with a feeling of guilt and anguish for not having noticed the danger signs sooner. She wondered how she could have been so naive and how she could have prevented others from going through similar experiences. The detective praised Emily for her courage and determination in reporting the incident and cooperating with the investigation. He emphasized that potential victims often do not have the opportunity to save themselves, and Emily had made a difference in preventing the driver from continuing his crimes. Emily and Alex decided to use their traumatic experience to raise awareness about the importance of safety when using ride-hailing apps. They became active advocates and participated in awareness campaigns, sharing their story and encouraging people to be more vigilant during their travels. The dark revelation of the Uber driver's intentions changed Emily and Alex's lives forever. They learned the importance of trusting their instincts and remaining alert in potentially dangerous situations. More than that, they have become defenders of a community that needs to be aware of the risks that can arise on rainy and dark nights, when safety is paramount. After the dark revelation about the Uber driver's intentions and the criminal's arrest, Emily and Alex's lives began to slowly return to normal. The feeling of safety gradually returned, but the emotional scars from that traumatic night remained. Emily decided to go to therapy to help deal with the trauma and anxiety the experience had left in her life. She shared her fears and feelings with a therapist, working to overcome the shock of the incident. Alex was also there to support her through this process. He was determined to ensure Emily felt supported and safe as she faced the emotional challenges of post-trauma. Together, Emily and Alex found strength in the solidarity and awareness they were promoting. They continued to participate in ride-hailing safety campaigns, sharing their story to help educate others about the risks associated with ride-hailing apps. Over time, Emily and Alex began to rebuild their lives and regain the sense of normalcy they had lost. They went out at night with friends again, but were now much more conscious of their safety. They always checked driver information, shared their locations with friends, and used ride-sharing apps responsibly. Additionally, Emily and Alex have become active advocates for ride-sharing safety legislation. They pushed for stricter regulations and additional safety measures to ensure incidents like the one they had faced were less frequent. With the support of other victims and safety advocates, they were able to influence significant changes to ride-hailing companies' policies, making travel safer for everyone. The years passed, and Emily and Alex moved on with their lives. Although they never forgot the nightmare they lived through that rainy night, they learned to turn this traumatic experience into something positive, helping to protect others from similar situations. The Uber driver was sentenced to a long prison sentence for his criminal intentions, and this brought some relief to Emily and Alex, knowing that he no longer posed a threat to society. The rainy, terrifying night had profoundly changed Emily and Alex's lives, but it had also transformed them into safety advocates and models of resilience. They learned that strength can emerge from even the darkest situations, and that unity can make the world a safer place for everyone. As time passed, they supported each other and moved forward, committed to making a difference in people's lives and ensuring that no one else would have to face the nightmare they had experienced that dark, rainy night. And so, Emily and Alex's story served as a constant reminder that even in the midst of the scariest of situations, courage, resilience, and solidarity can prevail, lighting the way to a safer, more hopeful future.